everyone, welcome to today's session on goods and service tax filings. Today we will see what are the different set of documents that are required to get enrolled under GST. So before proceeding with today's topic, let us quickly recap what we learned in our previous session. So in our previous session, we took an overview of the GST portal. The official website for GST portal is www.gst.gov.in. We learned different tabs available at the portal, and against each tab there are certain sub tabs that allows different options for different services. Like we have multiple tabs: services, GST laws, downloads, search taxpayer, help and taxpayer facilities, e-invoicing, news and updates, etc. Like under the services tab, we have sub tab of registration, payments, user services, refunds, e-way bill, track application status. Again, under the registration tab, we have new registration, track application status, application for filing clarifications. That is, when the department is not satisfied with the set of documents that we have submitted for registration and it asks for further documents, we have to submit those documents or we have to comply with the directions using this application for filing clarification tab. Then we have payments. Under the payment tab, we have create challan, track payment status, and grievance against payments. That is, any grievances related to payment can be raised using this option. Then we have user services. Under the user services, we have search option for HSN code, holiday list, locate GST practitioners, etc. Under the refund tab, we have refund application tracking system. We can track our refund application related to exports and cash refunds or any other refunds. Then e-way bill system, this tab will redirect you to the e-way bill login portal. Then track application status, again here we can track our registration or refund applications. So this was the overview that we took in our last session over the GST portal. So let us start with today's session, that is documents required for GST registration. So whenever we apply for GST registration, certain set of documents are required to be submitted along with the registration application. Certain documents are required for almost all businesses. For example, PAN, Aadhaar, phone number, email ID, photograph, address proof. These are certain documents that are required to be submitted by all the taxpayers, whereas certain documents are business specific or goods or services specific. For example, partnership deed is required specifically in case of partnership firm. Incorporation certificate is specifically required in case of corporate associates. Drug license is specifically required for those businesses who are dealing in medicines. So, we have already seen what are the threshold limits for getting enrolled under GST. Let us quickly go through them once. Who needs GST registration? Every supplier of goods or services must obtain registration if aggregate turnover exceeds the specified limit in a financial year. So, for states like Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland and Tripura, the limit specially for goods, that is specific for goods, is rupees 10 lakhs and along with services also it is 10 lakhs. For states like Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Sikkim, Uttarakhand, Puducherry and Telangana, this limit is 20 lakhs in case of goods only and again 20 lakhs in case of goods and services both. Next, Jammu and Kashmir, Assam, Himachal Pradesh and other states. The limit for goods is 40 lakhs and the limit for services is 20 lakhs. So, to sum up, if the entity's turnover exceeds the threshold limit of 40 lakhs in case of goods and 20 lakhs in case of services, then it is mandatory to obtain GST registration. This limit is applicable to all of India except for certain special category of states. Okay, so let's move ahead. So apart from the turnover based registration, there are certain people who are required to get mandatorily registered under the GST. For example, a person making interstate supplies. So any person who is executing supplies beyond the domestic boundaries of the state are mandatorily required to get registered under the GST. However, the threshold limit of 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs, as the case may be, is available in case of interstate supply of services and for certain notified handicraft goods. Then comes the person who are required to pay taxes under the reverse charge mechanism. That is where the recipient has to pay the taxes in case of supplies. However, person engaged exclusively in making outward supplies, tax on which is liable to be paid on reverse charge basis, are exempt from registrations. For example, a goods transport agency, irrespective of its turnover, are not required to get enrolled as the services falls under the reverse charge. Then comes the casual taxable person or the non-resident taxable person. We have already covered who are the casual taxable person and the non-resident taxable person. So casual taxable person are those who does business occasionally, and non-resident taxable person are those non-residents who occasionally does business in India. Next are the e-commerce operators. Every e-commerce operators who are required to collect tax at source under section 52 of the GST Act are required to get mandatorily registered. ECO means any person who owns, operates or manages digital or electronic facility or platform for electronic commerce. Also, person who are supplying goods and services other than supplies of specific nature under section 9(5) through such e-commerce operators and who is required to collect tax at source under section 52 also required to get enrolled under the GST. However, the threshold of 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs, as the case may be, is available in case of supplying services through e-commerce operator. So what are the different set of documents that are required while applying for registration? First one is identity proofs. Identity proofs like Aadhaar card. Next one is address proof. Address proof includes electricity bill, rent agreement, property papers, etc. Next is business proof. Business proofs are like Udyam registration certificate, partnership deed, certificate of incorporation, etc. Then bank account details. Bank account details can be updated post registration also. That is, within 30 days from the grant of your registration, you must update the bank account details in the GST portal. Next is the photographs, and last one is authorization documents. PAN card. PAN card is mandatory for all taxpayers, be it regular taxpayer or composition taxpayer or casual taxpayers. So all the taxpayers are required to furnish their PAN at the time of registration, except for the non-resident taxable person. Non-resident taxable persons are required to share their passport instead of PAN. So PAN details must be the same as with the database of the department. So there is an extensive data sharing between the income tax department and the GST department. So the PAN details which are used by the taxpayer while applying for GST registration must match exactly with the database records available with the GST department and income tax department. Next are the identity proofs and the photographs. So acceptable IDs are Aadhaar card, voter ID, passport and driving license. Whose IDs are required? For proprietorship business, ID of proprietor is required. In case of partnership, IDs of partners are required. In case of company, IDs of directors are required. Photographs must be in JPEG format with a maximum size of 100 KB. Next comes the business address proof. So the business address proof includes electricity bill, that is utility bill. Here you can use postpaid telephone bills too. Then comes rental agreement or no objection certificate. Then property tax receipts, that is the holding taxes paid by you. And in case of shared spaces, it needs confirmation letter and bill. Then comes the proof of business constitution, that is under what constitution a business is carrying on its activities. So proprietor, no need of any business constitution document. Partnership, in case of partnership deed is mandatory. In case of LLP, incorporation certificate along with agreement is mandatory. In case of company, certificate of incorporation, memorandum of association and article of association are mandatory documents. Bank account proofs. While updating the bank account details in the GST portal, we need cancelled check or a bank passbook or bank statement in the name of business. Then comes the digital signature certificate. It is mandatory in case of companies and limited liability partnerships, whereas it is optional for any other taxpayers. It must be a class 3 digital signature certificate. Then comes the authorization documents. These are the documents which can be used as authorization document in different kind of entities. Like for partnership, it can be an authorization letter issued in the name of a partner. Then in case of business, it has to be a board resolution. Then LLP, it should be mentioned in the agreement. Then in case of trust and societies, it could be a resolution. So it needed to authorize a signatory. So there are certain special cases too that we have already covered, but let us quickly go through them once. Casual taxable person. A casual taxable person must pay advance tax by estimating his turnover. The validity of registration issued to casual taxable person is 90 days, which can further be extended to 90 days. Then non-resident taxpayers, for non-resident taxpayers, instead of PAN, passport is required, and in case of Indian representative, PAN of Indian representative is required. SEZ, Special Economic Zone approval letter is required for e-commerce operators, TCS registration if applicable. Document formats and upload tips. The file type must be PDF or JPEG. The maximum size is 100 KB and for few documents it is allowed up to 1 MB. It must be clear scans, file names must be correct and matching names and spellings. So what are the common errors to avoid? PAN mismatch, invalid file types, blurry or cut off documents, signature or spelling issues. Any error may lead to issue of notice regarding clarification document by the GST department. So the final checklist is PAN card, photo ID, address proof, business constitution, bank passbook, digital signature certificate if applicable, or other than digital signature certificate, EVC is required and authorization letter. So basically these documents are required at the time of registration under GST. You must keep these documents handy at the time of registration because there are multi-layer OTP validation at the portal, and once the session times out or due to unavailability of any document, you have to start your application afresh, although your previously saved data still exists there. So one thing is important to note here, that upon the submission of your registration application, Aadhaar authentication is a mandatory process. Under this, the application submitted must be authenticated by Aadhaar OTP. So the signatory's Aadhaar must be linked with a valid phone number to receive OTPs. If not, Aadhaar authentication will not be done and registration process won't be complete. If the registration process is not complete, the ARN number will not be generated and Until and unless the ARN number is generated, application will not be processed. So it is always advisable to keep your Aadhaar details updated. So that's it for today's session. In our next session, we will have a look at the registration process.